Hey guys, Anton's the man back with more Kingdom Hearts 3. It's been a while since I put in this game, but there was some
Let's
stuff that
see.
I wanted to do since I felt things were kind of left incomplete without me showing them off. So I did a lot of things off stream. I got the Ultimate Keyblade right here, which took a lot of work and a lot of mini games and other annoying stuff. That I don't really want to get into, but yeah, it's a lot of work to get this, but um, it's not it's not like super duper difficult. It just takes a lot of time and patience in some regards. But yep, I got it, and I got Donald and Goofy's best weapon while I was at it, and I collected a bunch of secret reports which popped up after finishing the game. So those little crystal ball things that appear throughout the worlds after you finish the game, they each give a secret report when you finish them. And they contain a lot of lore, which I would like to share. So, there's 13 of them, of course. We'll start with the first one, and I guess I'll just read it out. Recollections. Am I alive? I awoke in a cell, alone, until the researchers came with their tests, their prodding to uncover my identity. I had no answer to offer them. 4 friends, and a key. That is the sum total of my memory. I could not even recall my name. Was simply called X there. My only solace was the time I spent talking with the 2 boys who would visit me from time to time. One day a man came to take me from the prison. I could not see him for the darkness, save that he wore an eye patch. Even now, years on, I feel no closer to understanding who or what I am. May my heart be my guiding key, unknown. So, with this first one, I believe that this is one of the Forebringers. Actually, you know what? Let's just look through my other archives. Does it talk about other games? No. Where would it be? I know that it has something in this game. Maybe it's actually in the beginning of the game, or before you even load the game. Hold on, let me look something up really quick just so I get the names right. Sorry guys, should have had this prepared. Wiki. And sorry I don't have the camera up, I didn't feel like setting it up. Because I just don't always let it be on camera, basically. Okay, this wiki isn't easy to navigate, what the heck. Let's just click that. Characters. Okay. So, I believe that X in the first one is actually Ava, who is one of the Keyblade Masters in Union Cross for the Volps Union. And why do I believe that? There just seems to be a lot of hints to it, especially at the ending where she doesn't kind of show up when the other masters show up, and it refers to the guy with the eye patch, which I believe is Xigbar, aka Luxu. And the 2 boys she mentions talking about, I believe, are Axel and Syx, or Isa and Lee, if you prefer to call them that. And that is the person that Sayex mentions that Axel kind of gave up on, and that he never gave up on finding this person. That's my hypothesis. Anyway, it's kind of interesting. Oh yeah, she also mentions 4 friends, which probably refers to the other Keyblade Masters in Union Cross. Ira, Envy, Aced, Gula. That's my hypothesis. Second report. Sorry that was so convoluted. Mark of the Mastery Journal. Some days have passed since I set off on my journey to prepare for the Mark of Mastery examination. Ericus asked for leave to undertake the same pilgrimage, but apparently I am to be the first to tour the worlds written of in the old fairy tales. Until short years ago, I'd known only my world, a speck of land surrounded by sea, but now I yearned up for the world beyond, and granted guidance for the future. I left that nest behind. As I treaded the path of my master's side, I came in contact with darkness in many forms. I knew even then, as my instinct, terrifying as its power was, it could be harnessed, mastered. Ericus is a blue blood, descended from the very first masters in the age of fairy tales. But I did not come this far to indulge in adulation. I will be his peer, his equal, and to do that I must learn to wield the power born from both darkness and light in proper balance. Xehanort. So yeah, just a little peek at the earlier mind of Xehanort before he stepped out into the world, or the worlds, whatever. Experiment of the Heart. Notes on Subject X. Excerpt 1. Subject was found in the central square shortly after dawn. Female, approximately 15 years old. Okay, this is also why I think it's Ava, because of this description here. After 7 days' observation, she spoke her first words, but could not provide a name. Subject exhibits signs of profound amnesia and displays concerns about which world this is. Her words suggest that she departed her home world with others, though she cannot recall the name of her erstwhile companions. All effort to explore those memories are met with rejection response. After his initial experiments on me, Ansem the Wise ceased his research into the heart. His hand stayed by some fear I cannot fathom, yet this new subject is, like me, devoid of memories. She is a perfect sample upon which to continue my master's work. She too could benefit from it. By traversing the heart, we have a direct path into memory. I myself have begun to recall my lost past thanks to these very experiments. Who is she? Whence has she come? These are questions no scientist can ignore. And the words she muttered, "May your heart be your guiding key." Xehanort. So, apparently Xehanort, after he himself got sort of accepted in by Ansem the Wise, I guess began experiments on Ava, aka X, because he sort of saw her as a kindred spirit. And it would be pretty interesting to find out if he did find out more about her memories. Since, yeah, she would know a lot. She's like ancient, man. Experiments of the Heart. Notes on Subject X. Excerpt 2. Subject's memories have not returned, and our conversations remain less than lucid. What fragments can be gleaned invoke a bygone world, like one out of the fairy tales. As improbable as it seems, the question may not be where she comes from, but when. If she truly has crossed through time, the prospect of probing her heart is all the more compelling. My pilot studies used a handful of subjects, but none possessed the fortitude to endure them. Ultimately, all suffered mental collapse. I knew it would be a heavy blow to lose a subject as unique as she. Upon discovering the tests I've been conducting, my master demanded that I cease my work immediately and destroyed what research I have compiled. Or still, he ordered the release of my remaining subjects. She is gone. Where is Subject X now? Has wise Master Ansem hidden her away? Whatever the case, I will not be deterred. I will take her place as the first subject in the grand experiment to come, Xehanort. So he does discover that she comes from a world, not just a world far away, but a world from a far other time, which compels him more. But I guess Ansem takes her away and hides her so that he can't continue prodding her for info. Memoirs? I don't know how to pronounce that. Whatever. Excerpt 1. That castle was a wonderland to us children. Within its walls, Ansem the Wise conducted his research, and the fruits it bore allowed everyone outside to live in peace and happiness. That alone was enough to stroke our interest, though not all of the rumors that escaped its walls were so benevolent. By night, the muffled sounds of human wails emerged. There was talk of dangerous human experimentation. Lei and I couldn't help but hatch a plot to steal inside and sate our curiosity. The two who stood guard at the gates were researchers themselves, though you wouldn't think it to see them, massive and barrel-chested as they were. And slipping past that duo was only the first hurdle. It proved one not easily cleared. We were found and tossed out on our ears, time and again. On the day we finally secured our entry, we descended the long spiral stair at the heart of the castle to find a dark space below it, lined with cages. There wasn't light enough to see if there were inhabited, and we were in no position to call out to any occupants within, yet we could feel it, a definite presence there in the dark black. Terror washed over us, and we immediately regretted coming. But just as we turned to flee, we heard the faintest of voices. The urge to run was nigh overpowering, but someone or something beckoned us on. There, framed by a tenuous sliver of light, we found her, Saïx. I don't know why this is signed as Saïx. It ought to be signed as Isa, since he refers to his partner in crime as Lee, and that's probably when this whole thing happened, was while they were still human. But yeah, this is like the first mission the two of them talked about in their little exchange towards the end of this game. And this is the girl that they sought. Memoirs, Excerpt 2. It was too dim to make out her features. We spoke to her in hushed whispers. Who was she? Why was she imprisoned here? She had no answer for us, had no memories at all. She was an enigma, but I knew I wanted to help her. And so we continued our infiltrations. Most of them were stopped short at the castle gates. When we did manage to our way inside, we spoke with her. That was all the comfort the two children like us could offer. Lee had other ideas. He was determined to free her. We slipped into the castle that day, knowing only that we wanted with all our heart to save her. But we did not find her inside that day, or the next, or any of our subsequent visits. Had she been moved? Had we simply imagined her? Lee and I knew there was only one way to be certain. So we stand before the castle gates today, not as trespassing children, but in order to become Ansem the Wise's newest apprentices, Saïx, aka Isa. So, yeah, I'm guessing that Ava disappeared, or X, because this is when Master Ansem the Wise hid her away from Xehanort and his experiments, or whatever happened to her. On the replica program and reanimation, following my erasure and my recompletion as a human, I did not awaken right away. Perhaps the damage was exceptionally grave. Even after waking, I remained in bed, pondering my next course of action. In my work on the replica program for the organization, I produced some 20 vessels. Most of the early results were failures. Not one of them granted a number. The first success to emerge from that early lot was the Riku replica. Subsequently, Jion, number 1, was is that number 1? Whatever. Was essentially indistinguishable from a natural human, though she became unstable due to the influence of others. Using those two as my foundation, I worked to construct a number of nigh perfect replicas. Just as they neared completion, my efforts were cut short. I suspected Xehanort aims to use both the initial lot as well as the unused replicas from my later work. I arose today to decide to walk out to the square, my first outing in some time, yet my stroll was interrupted when a surprising visitor appeared with an unexpected offer. Though younger than me, he'd risen to become Xemnas' right hand. I accepted his terms and became a nobody once more. Easier to gain access to the old replica program that way. Whatever it takes to atone. Vexen. So this is just a little insight on Vexen's character in this game. Risen to become Xemnas' right hand. Who is he referring to here? Gosh, I'm trying to remember the gameplay now. It might be Xigbar that he's referring to. Anyway, he took his offer and became a nobody again. The real organization. Xehanort seeks to gather 12 vessels, which, together with his true, actual self, he considers the real organization 13. Now that he has the numbers he needs, Demiex and I are being treated as reserves. Several others who served Xemnas in the old organization has followed the same course as mine. Actually, now that I think about it, it's probably Saïx who's the right-hand man, because that makes the most sense. Electing to abandon their newly restored humanity and rejoining the real organization as nobodies. But not Xemnas. Xemnas cannot exist in the present because there is already a Xehanort here, the old man in charge. The old man's humanity prevents his heartless and nobody. Others vanquished in the past, and his younger self from being denizens of this time. To circumvent this, Xehanort is using the prototype replicas I created in the past as containers, plucking his other selves' hearts from the times they existed. Xehanort ordered me to refine the prototypes to make them closer still to the real thing, perfecting my creations so that they may house true flesh and blood, human suits, my own purpose as well. All that remains for my atonement is to devise a way to pass on as many of my vessels as I can to those who truly deserve them, like Roxas and Xion and Naminé, all those people. Ansem Code Conscription Exert 1. I have pored over the data my master entrusted to Riku. Here I offer my preliminary conclusions. Within Sora's hearts are 3 compartmentalized boxes, each containing the heart of another. One box holds Roxas, another holds a second heart that has been within Sora nearly as long. The third has held its heart for much longer. These hearts are melded with Sora's and no longer have voices of their own. Any attempt to mechanically extract them could prove as dire for Sora as what caused him to become a Heartless in the first place. First, a vessel for each heart must be readied. Then a spark of some sort is required to induce its waking. Obviously, the ideal solution is to restore each heart to its own body, but whatever the case for the two unknown individuals, Roxas possessed no such thing. The same is true for Naminé, who is believed to reside in Kairi's heart. Still, if alternate bodies can be secured for them, all their hearts require to be awakened is that spark, people they cared for and who cared for them, who can show them the way home. Complete and perfect digitalization of the heart is impossible, and we can only hope to partially reconstruct it. Thus, I see no way forward but to extract the hearts we so desperately need directly from within Sora. Fortunately, the data stored in Twilight Town contains a near-perfect record of the memories of those who lived there, and for Roxas and Naminé especially, this is crucial. Ienzo. So this sort of talks about three hearts within Sora, which we find out is Roxas, Ventus, and someone we're not so quite sure about, but I have a theory once again. When Sora sort of got destroyed and he became transparent and he was in this real world and the Charity was talking to him, we had an interesting conversation with like a glowing ball that had a lot to say. And not the Naminé one, but the other one. And I believe that person is let me get the name right. Because once again, it's a name I'm not super familiar with. So I believe that glowing ball that talked to us from within was Strelitzia from Union Cross, who I believe is also Marluxia's somebody's sister. And before he became Marluxia, his name was Lorien. And the reason why I believe that glowing ball of light within Sora is her is because she referred to someone looking for her, and she even told him the name of the person. And I believe the reason why the developers didn't allow you to hear the name is because it's the name of the player character for the phone app game, and obviously that name is going to change depending on what you decide to name yourself. And that is the precious person she is waiting to have find her. Or it might be Marluxia. It could be him as well. But I believe that it's more likely to be the actual player character for the phone app game who's looking for her. And I believe that is the third heart within Sora. And some code conspection. Excerpt 2. Whatever. Man, I'm so bad at reading. As for how to contain their hearts, the only conceivable option is the replicas. If we transfer in the digital memories from Twilight Town Archive, the replica should be able to reconstruct each individual's human appearance with near-perfect result. Then their hearts need only the right spark to wake them, so they may find their way out of Sora and Kairi and into those newly made bodies. The replica program was truly revolutionary, but it was incomplete at the time of the old organization's dissolution. Without Evan, how are we to further the research? We need at least 3 replicas, one for Roxas, one for Naminé, and one for the unknown stowaway within Sora's heart. Wait, didn't they just say there's 3 within Sora, though? Well, whatever. Because the unknown should be well, no, because Ventus... Yeah, Ventus already still had a body. Okay, so that's why they say the unknown stowaway. Okay. Mystery solved. Those are difficult quandaries, but as I work through my master's data, I find myself remembering the taste of ice cream. When I was a boy, he would bring me some of that when we took walks together. There will be time to regret my betrayal later. For now, my focus must be restoring Roxas and Naminé and proving my master had good intentions. Ienzo. Observation. Excerpt 1. I have seen it through. The Keyblade War unfolded exactly as written on the lost page. Now the Keyblade, the master entrusted to me, must be bequeathed to another. 5 Union leaders have been chosen for the surviving Dandelions, or from the surviving Dandelions. I will pass the Keyblade to one of them, and then continue watching the future unfold. Yet it seems that someone has pulled the old switcheroo. One of the 5 is an imposter, someone the master did not choose. They represent a virus in the program he so carefully wrote. The virus had begun a strange undertaking, a reckless plot to allow the 5 to escape into another world line. Surely such a thing can't be possible. We're talking about the same trick that allowed the Dandelions to transfer to other world lines after the Keyblade War. But these children are no masters. They haven't the means unless, of course, a certain lady of magic summoned here from the future knows more than I do. The whole Union leader thing was supposed to be by the books. Are these new events just another phase in the Master's grand plan? Unknown. I'm pretty sure the person who wrote this is Luxu, and the lady from the future he's referring to is Maleficent, who accidentally traveled to this universe using the datascape that her and Pete had access to, which is explained in Kingdom Hearts Recoded. And as far as the betrayal, I don't really know a whole lot more about it than what was revealed in that video I referred you guys to before I started this game. But it seems interesting that they seem to have like some sort of grand plan to sort of change things up. So yeah, that's my feelings on that one. Observations, Excerpt 2. Even on a world line with no Keyblade Warrior, peace is but a dream. In the absence of us and our master, a darkness arrived, one that shall surely lead the world to yet another demise. Among the chaos, I bequeath my Keyblade to one of the Union leaders, just as the master instructed. I watched as the 5 were sent to another world line at no small cost, ensuring the line of Keyblade wielders will live on. And now, Keybladeless, I must depart this land to fulfill my final task. This means casting my own body aside and sovereigning my heart in vessel after vessel, as many as it takes. But I will continue gazing upon each passing era, one onto the next. In time, be it years or decades, centuries or millennia, I will meet the 5 once more. Somewhere in the cyclical history of bequeathings, the chosen one will appear and reenact the Keyblade War. When this scapegoat arrives and takes my Keyblade in hand, that will be the time to take the stage and finish my rule. The Lost Master will awaken. Lost Masters. So once again, this is Luxu, the final chosen one who reenacted the Keyblade War was Xehanort. The Masters reunited except for Ava, who I believe is Subject X. And for whatever reason, they weren't reunited, which seems weird because someone with an eye patch is who she saw before she kind of got released. So I'm kind of curious about what was going on there. And as far as the darkness in the sort of world line, I have no idea. Like, I know there's something about Charity going dark in that world, or at one point in the story, but I have no idea what's going on with this whole darkness plot. And Maleficent is probably wrapped up in it too, or whatever. It's a shame she didn't play much of a role in this game. Would have been interesting to learn a bit more. Here's the last report. Observation, Excerpt 3. It seems this body, this name will be my last. The lives I had lived over the ages could fill volumes, but for now I must focus on what matters most. The Keyblade has been successfully passed down generation to generation, and it seems a Keyblade master devoted to the darkness may finally arise. Until now I have watched over the course of events from a distance. Perhaps the time has come to intervene. I need only play the role of a fool, serious of the Keyblade power. I will don the mask of an ally in order to keep watch over my Keyblade from close by. The gazing eye, a Keyblade forged from the eye of the Master of Masters, has passed it to me. He passed it to me, and I have the others. And through it he can see the future, all that will ever come to pass, spanning the ages and body after body, life after life. My task has been to keep vigil over the eye as it passes from hand to hand. It's been a long time, longer than I can express. But now at last the Keyblade War has begun, and the Kingdom Hearts will open a true and complete Kingdom Hearts, born from the clash of darkness and light. I will soon be reunited with my old companions, and in that moment my last vigil will reach its end. He will return. Once again, this is Luke Shu, and it sounds like that somehow Kingdom Hearts returning is somehow going to make the Masters of Masters return. That's my guess anyway.